Ready for a jury now?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's have a jury, please. Let everybody be seated. Defense may call the first witness.
Your Honor, the defense calls Curtis Hunter.
All right, if you'd face the clerk and be sworn, please, sir.
You swear affirm testimony you're about to give in this case to be true, the whole truth, and nothing but true, so help you God.
Have a seat. Slide up the microphone, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Curtis Hunter, Curtishunter.
Mr. Hunter, how are you presently employed?
I'm an attorney with Becker and Polikoff in Miami
How long have you been a licensed attorney in the state of Florida?
since 1992, I believe.
And do you have a specific area of practice or an area that you focus on?
My area of practice now is corporate, tax law, offshore asset protection planning, but also estate planning, domestic estate planning, and probate.
Push that mic back away from you a little bit. You're too close to that
Okay.
microphone.
Sorry,
Move it
Judge.
away from you, not towards you.
That's the way.
All right, go ahead.
How were you employed in 2001?
Gardner, it was Gardner, Duggar, Biston, Wiener,
And is that a local law firm here in Tallahassee?
local Tallahassee law firm, correct.
And what did you do for the Gardner firm?
Pretty much the same thing except for the offshore asset protection planning. I did domestic estate planning and probate, and then the corporate and tax stuff as well.
Did you happen, during your time at Gardner in 2001, did you happen to become employed as it relates to the estate of Jerry Michael Williams?
I did.
Can you describe how you came to be involved with that estate?
Marcus Winchester, I consider him as a friend as well, was a referral source for me. I would do seminars with him as well through his insurance arm of his business, and he contacted me one day to explain to me that his son's best friend or good friend had disappeared, and his the individual who disappeared's wife had insurance policies, and they were wanting to get a death certificate, a presumptive death certificate, so she could collect the insurance proceeds.
After you were contacted by Marcus Winchester, what did you do next?
I believe he called me. We had a fairly lengthy conversation on the phone, and then I scheduled a meeting after that.
Do you recall who attended the meeting?
It was Brian Winchester, Denise, and her father, Mr. Merrill.
And do you recall the interaction you had with Ms. Williams at that initial meeting with Mr. Winchester, Mr. Merrill, and my client?
There wasn't much interaction from Denise. She was pretty much quiet, kind of had her head down the whole time.
And the other gentlemen were essentially driving the situation with you during that meeting?
Correct, yep.
After that meeting, what happened next?
After that, we had follow-up phone calls with, I think, Marcus Winchester, possibly Brian. Mr. Merrill had dropped off notes. When Mike had disappeared, there was, I'm sure everybody's aware of all the searches, dive teams, helicopter searches, and all that went on for months. So from after being retained to assist Denise, I started collecting information to put in a petition for a presumptive death certificate.
Was that mostly office work between you and your staff and these individuals?
Correct, primarily me.
Did you also have contact with any insurance companies during this
I did.
time frame?
I did.
And who did you have contact with, if you can recall?
Kansas City Life. I think that one individual's name was Paul Saylor. There may have been others, but I remember his name. And Marcus was an underwriter for Kansas City Life.
And were the insurance companies, to the best of your knowledge, were they aware of the process you were going through?
They were, yes. I mean, that was the whole purpose of me contacting. I think Marcus had given me the name of Paul, and I started out contacting him, and they were well aware when I contacted them for the first time that what we were doing.
And so this process was open and notorious to insurance companies and to at least to Mr. Winchester and to Ms. Williams' family as to what was going on.
Yeah, everything was open. Yeah, I had to, in preparing the petition, I had to have anybody that had an adverse or any kind of interest in the petition involved, and obviously Kansas City Life, there's an insurance policy on Mike's life, so they had to be involved as an interested party.
And did you ultimately submit a petition and obtain a order for a presumptive death certificate?
I did.
Do you recall how Ms. Williams got her copy of the presumptive death certificate?
I do not.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Jay, we need the podium back.
To get a presumptive death certificate, is that something that's normally done
No, it's very rare,
when there's a missing person?
even more rare.
How long does it normally take, under normal circumstances, to get a presumptive death certificate?
Under the statute, there's a 5-year presumption if somebody is missing from their last known domicile and there's no satisfactory explanation of where they are. After 5 years, the person can be presumed dead.
And in this situation, we obviously heard from Ms. Williams, that was there the first time with her father and Brian Winchester,
Correct.
second time with Mr. Marcus Winchester and Brian possibly, or you had conversations with them
I
throughout.
definitely had conversations. I don't recall any further office visits. Denise had come in to sign the presumption the petition and her affidavit.
Okay, and we'll get to that saying, so she's your client?
She's my client.
Okay.
Correct.
And she actually has to come in and sign an affidavit?
Correct.
And she came in and signed an affidavit that everything was very good with the marriage and doing this, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I had her actually prepare a statement that I could use in preparing her affidavit about her home life, Mike's job, and everything else.
And she said that there was no marital problems at that point, correct? In that affidavit?
None.
And also in that, you said that you have to let all interested parties know, correct?
Correct.
And you let Kansas City Life know.
Correct.
Did you ever let Cotton States know?
Didn't know anything about Cotton States.
Ms. Williams never informed you about the other $500,000 policy from Cotton States, did she?
Not aware of it. No.
Did she make you aware that she had filed earlier, before even contacting you, that she had already applied to try and get the life insurance policy from Kansas City Life?
No. As far as I know, that was when they met with me. That was their first inroad in trying to get insurance policies for her.
No further questions?
Be direct.
But Mr. Hunter, did you understand it that Marcus Winchester had handled insurance for at least Kansas City Life?
Yes.
Did
Yes.
you understand Marcus Winchester to also be a financial advisor to Ms. Williams?
I had no idea.
During the course of preparing the certificate and the affidavit, did you obtain any information to suggest that Ms. Williams and Mr. Williams had something other than a happy marriage?
No. No.
No one contacted you and questioned you about that particular provision of the affidavit?
No. About their home life?
Yes.
No.
The insurance companies ever raised any questions about anything of that nature?
I think they were well aware. I'm sure Marcus had probably spoken to them several times and given them all the background. So no, they never questioned anything.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. And juror, I have a question of this witness. All right, you can step down. We need to keep him any further.
No, Your Honor.
You're free to go. Thank you for being here. Call your next witness. Up here, please, sir. You place the clerk and be sworn, please, sir.
You swear affirm testimony about giving this case to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Have a seat. May proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, could you please state and spell your name for the record?
James R. Martin, Jr., James Martin.
And Mr. Martin, where do you live?
Excuse me?
Where do you live?
Alligator Point.
Prior to moving to Alligator Point, did you live in Tallahassee, Florida?
Yes, I did.
And where did you go to high school, sir?
North Florida Christian,
And when did you graduate?
1988.
Do you know Denise Williams?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Ms. Williams?
Actually met her and Brian on the same day in the 9th grade.
Did you know Mike Williams?
Yes, I did.
Were you friends with Mike?
Yes, since kindergarten.
You know Brian Winchester?
Yes.
How do you know Mr. Winchester?
Went to high school with him.
Were you friends with Mr. Winchester?
In high school, we were friends of the same group, not necessarily tight friends. Became so later on.
And when did you and Mr. Winchester become closer friends?
Probably about 3-4 years ago.
Now, going back before you got closer in friendship with Mr. Winchester, did you know when Denise and Mike Williams got married? Did you know they eventually got married after high school?
interacted with Mike much more than with Mike and Denise, but kept up with both of them, yes.
From your observations, they have a happy marriage?
I thought they had a very happy marriage.
Mike ever complain to you about anything in his marriage?
No, he seemed absolutely thrilled, and particularly when they had the birth of Ansley. I mean, he was always a great individual, great father, and seemed perfectly content.
Now, at some point in time, when you, going back forward to your time with friends with Mr. Winchester, what kind of activities would you and Mr. Winchester do together?
Basically, we would mountain bike or fish.
Did you have an opportunity to observe Mr. Winchester's demeanor in 2016, for example? Were you fishing or mountain biking together?
Yes, at that time we were mainly fishing together, and each time we went out, he seemed to be in good spirits and enjoy the day on the water.
Never any complaints about his pending divorce?
We didn't discuss interpersonal items or really politics, religion. I mean, we kept it was definitely escapism. We were out there, we enjoyed what we were doing on the water and focused on that.
You go fishing to get the small fish to turn them into bigger fish later, right?
Exactly.
But during the time, for example, did you have an opportunity to go fishing with Brian Winchester in July of 2016?
I believe so, yes.
And even though you didn't get into politics or anything else that might be troubling to anybody, what was his general demeanor? Was he happy? Was he sad?
Seemed to be in good spirits.
Was his affect and presentation in July of 2016 the same as you recall it from other months before going back to when you would fish with him?
Yes, basically, yes.
Nothing to speak of, no concerns?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross.
So in 2016, Brian Winchester seemed perfectly happy with everything in his personal life.
Didn't discuss his personal life, seemed perfectly happy with the day on the water.
It's fair to say that people can hide what's really going on in their personal life from their fishing buddies,
I'd say absolutely.
and it would be perfectly fair to say that Mike Williams could hide what's going on in his personal life from his hunting buddy.
Yes.
Nothing further.
Anything further? Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Any juror have a question of this witness? All right, you can step down. Do we need to keep him further?
No, Your Honor. He's released.
All right,
All right.
you're excused. Thank you for being here. Call your next witness.
Special Agent Mike Phillips.
If you'd face the clerk and be sworn, please, sir.
You swear affirm testimony you're about to give in this case will be true, the whole truth, and nothing but true, so help you God.
I do.
Sir, can you state and spell your name for the record?
Sure. Mike Phillips, MikePhillips.
Mr. Phillips, how are you presently employed?
I'm employed as Assistant Special Agent in Charge with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
How long have you been with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
21 years.
Going back to about 1997, give or take.
Correct.
Where did you go to high school?
North Florida Christian.
Prior to becoming a special agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, did you know who Mike Williams was?
I did.
And how did you know who Mike Williams was?
He was a friend of mine from childhood.
Did you know Denise? In high school, she would have been Denise Merrill. Did you know Denise?
Yeah, I know her.
How did you know Miss Merrill?
She was the grade behind me and we had mutual friends.
Did you also know Brian Winchester?
I knew of him, yeah.
Did you recognize him around school?
I did. I do.
After you graduated from North Florida Christian, did you ever have any occasion to have any interactions with Brian Winchester up until, say, December of 2000?
Just an occasional passing by at a restaurant or somewhere like that.
And when you would have an occasional passing by at a restaurant or something, would he recognize you?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And would you recognize him?
I would.
I'm going to draw your attention to Saturday, December 16th, 2000. Are you aware of that as the date that Mike Williams went missing on Lake Seminole?
I am now.
Did you see Brian Winchester at a Walmart on December 16th, 2000?
I don't recall. My memory all started the next day.
But you knew who Brian Winchester was?
Yes,
And Brian Winchester would have known who you were.
yes,
But you indicated that you had a memory of things starting on the next day.
right.
What happened on the next day?
I, at that time, led a small group with my church of young married couples, and we were at some friend's house having dinner and, doing our group thing. And when it came time for a prayer request, a request was asked, I apologize just for a second, that Mike was missing. And I distinctly remember that moment.
What did you do next?
Finished out, we prayed, finished the event, said goodbye, and then was trying to figure out how I could learn more information about it and how I could help find him.
Did you ever have an occasion to go to Lake Seminole?
I did.
After December 17th, 2000, did you ever see Brian Winchester at Lake Seminole?
I did.
Do you recall about when that was?
I think it was that Monday. I took the day off and went out there to help search for Mike.
Did he see you?
Yes.
Did you two talk?
Briefly, yeah, because I was trying to, I was wanting to learn what I could to find what had happened to Mike. And that right early in the morning, they weren't letting us on the lake. Law enforcement was still, and I was there as a citizen. Law enforcement was still doing their search. So we were just standing on the bank talking.
And at any time during that conversation on the bank at Lake Seminole, did Mr. Winchester ever indicate to you, hey, I remember seeing you at Walmart on Saturday?
No.
Did seeing him on the bank at Lake Seminole jog your memory into remembering that you had seen him just 2 days before?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross.
Your memories start the day afterwards.
Correct.
Nothing on December 16th made anything stand out in the significance at that time until you found out, correct?
I don't really remember that. There's nothing of significance from that day.
No further questions?
Redirect.
No redirect, Your Honor. Witness is excused.
All right. Any juror have a question of this witness? All right, you step down. You need it for any reason, Mr. Peterson? No. All right, you're excused. Thank you for being here. Call your next witness. The next witness, one we need to talk to.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
I think you had an item of evidence you were going to offer.
As to that witness, yes.
Well, I thought you were going to offer regardless. That's all right. We've got a witness that I'm going to need to hear the testimony of and make a ruling. The timing is a little awkward here. I hate for y'all to be sitting back in the jury room while we do that. I think what we'll do is just go ahead and take a lunch break now, and we can be working while y'all go get some lunch. Why don't we plan to be back and ready to go at 12:45? All right? Y'all can step out. We do 5 minutes. All right, we'll take 5 minutes. Have your witness in, then, please.
I will, Your Honor.